Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for the mayor of Abbotsford to forensic audit the city books, on the job sites, the insider trading, but to bring Abbotsford the best, the RCMP. Today I'm on location in Chilliwack, BC. Before I begin any further, I'd like to elaborate. Corky Neufeld has not apologized yet to the city councils that are running for his lift to Amric Moran, and today Corky Neufeld went over the top again last night. Corky Neufeld was invited to Amric Moran's party, where the establishment was. Mike DeYoung there endorsing him, Simon Gibson there, and also Jerry Palmer and everybody. The Liberal ring was trying to get back. This is how bad they don't want Abbotsford residents to have a voice, but who they pick and selected. Amric Moran's tied to Archway Community Services with Patricia Dreesen, I showed you. Amric Moran took advantage of the ledge with Corky Neufeld. He knew about Dave Sidhu's property and Andy Sidhu's insider trading and everything. Today I'm in Chilliwack, BC. And I want to do my podcast from Chilliwack for Abbotsford, and I thought that all the information and inside information from office to office, I want to show Abbotsford something that's shocking. And this is a lot of leads from Chilliwack, but a lot of leads inside of Abbotsford too. Archway Community Services is a non-profit and it made profit against my flood victims. Archway Community Services has Amric Moran there, and this is why they need him to the council. It also has Patricia Dreesen, which owns Perfect Sense, that contracted Archway. And Dreesen now, in order to keep her mouth shut on all the properties of city councils of Abbotsford, unless she'll be investigated for insider trading and double dipping. She contracts to Archway with Perfect Sense, but she went and created a new registered political party called The Voice. But she knows Dave Sidhu's property was insider trading as city council for that lift to get him loaded by the South Asians. And we want to look at that. Abbotsford City, it looks like this, that Chilliwack is annexing Abbotsford, and let me put it in layman's terms. You know, like they said Donald Trump wanted to annex Canada, and David Eby, the UN's taking over BC. Well, let me tell you what Chilliwack does. Why building permits and stuff ain't getting done in Abbotsford and you're not getting the council out? Because you need to come to Chilliwack. Chilliwack runs Abbotsford. Chilliwack's employees, and we'll give you an example. Nicole Reid is the sitting council here. She works for Abbotsford City. She takes our tax dollars and our economic drivers, Molson, John Deere, and all them, insider trading and brings them here. Whether she buys in stocks into them companies, or in my opinion, is getting a kick for lobbying them in here and getting them the ground and everything else. But the economic advisors to Abbotsford too, also, one from Archway, the girl off of Archway, lives here in Chilliwack. She lives in Chilliwack. She's contracted to the city of Abbotsford, and she works for Archway, these economic development officers. So if you live in Chilliwack and you're elected to this part of the city, council, mayor, and employee, you should be working here and you should be living here and pay your tax dollars. Abbotsford's not doing that. Nicole Reid's contracting there. Economic development officers are contracting there, and Chilliwack's employees are coming into Abbotsford and they're not paying tax dollars. Under my mayorship, anybody who's not living in Abbotsford and working for the city of Abbotsford, and you're employed by the city of Abbotsford and not paying your tax dollars, you're going to be ousted. That includes Abbotsford's police department and Abbotsford City. And this needed to stop. And this is what's been taking place. And now we come to the understanding that's why Abbotsford ain't Abbotsford first, it's Abbotsford second, and it's so backwards. And the people looking, why is Chilliwack outgrowing? Chilliwack's employees are into Abbotsford. They live here, and they don't pay Abbotsford's tax dollars, and they're working on the city. Now we're supposed to have a city manager. We're supposed to have a city lawyer, and we got a mayor that doesn't know what he's doing, and you know he's not running it. He's propped up. He's told what to do and everything. First thing you would do is you would fire and you would stop all them people coming in and say, look, you got to live in Abbotsford if you're employed by the city of Abbotsford or the city hires you. And now that goes to the same as jobs. When you headhunt a job, You don't come to Chilliwack and get Jake's Contracting. You get companies that are in Abbotsford and you give them to Abbotsford. That ain't happening. Why you do this? Why do you do this? Because it's easier to use another municipality to hide money and steal money behind everybody's back than directly be involved. So you get your friend outside of the city to do it. But the city mayor and the city lawyer knew, and Amric Moran knew, that this ain't supposed to be taking place. So the first thing we're going to do, let me explain to you, is forensic audit. That'll open up why these employees are working there and they're allowed to live in Chilliwack and take your tax dollars and not contribute to the city of Abbotsford. That's going to stop. That means if any police force officers are living in Chilliwack and working in the Abbotsford Police, you'll be let go immediately. I'll start looking for them more and more as I run for mayor. But this calls for Suki Dami to stand up and run for council. It calls for, I told you, Barty Sandhu to stand up to run for council. It calls for Gurpreet Rai, and it calls to call these things front and center of these people been housing this out. But we're going to go after Archway. We're going to put a stop to Rob Santiago giving himself lucrative businesses, taking this and hiring these people. So the city hired her to represent Archway. She lives here. She gets paid, I believe, $100,000. And what she was doing is trying to set Archway up as a conglomerate billion-dollar company. And it takes all the federal funds to work with the vulnerable, the old, the seniors, and everywhere. But it was giving itself a laverick CEO paychecks, races, and we're going to stop that. But we're also going to stop these people from coming into Abbotsford as mayor and as council and as employees and working there. They're not going to be doing that. We're going to hire Abbotsford residents, we're going to employ Abbotsford residents, and we're going to make sure Abbotsford residents work in our city, pay their tax dollars. And we're going to lock into all their bank accounts. We're going to forensic on them, and we're going to go through them with a fine-tooth comb. There'll be no difference than me or Revenue Canada going through your books. And I'll do a better job than Revenue Canada because I got the inside information from Darren Braun, and we're going to go after it. So I'm going to tell every employee of Abbotsford City, right now you better stop that. Everybody in Chilliwack, you need to stop it. And everybody who's working on the Abbotsford Police that are not contributing to our town, to our residents and living in the town, you need to stop it. Under my mayorship, you're gone. You won't even get a 20-day or a 10-day warning. You'll be just fired and kicked out because you're frauding Abbotsford residents and it needs to stop. So I'm going to tell Nicole Reid, you got to look Chilliwack residents in the face and know the dirty stuff you've done to Abbotsford. You got to know that you can't be trusted in the town of Chilliwack doing these back things because you needed to call it out. You knew what Archway was doing. You knew what was taking place everywhere. And this is why when people went to Nicole Reid about Sage Fon calling the dirty dirt into Chilliwack here, she couldn't speak on it. They had to come into the city and get it red carded and stopped. So last night's party at the big Amric Moran, the 25-year, there was the whole establishment. Mike DeYoung figured he's going to make another run. Corky Neufeld, and then Simon Gibson, Jerry Palmer, and everything. We want to make sure that we do this as Abbotsford residents. Suk Mangel, Abbotsford residents walked him in. Abbotsford voters walked him in, not an establishment. And you can see that because Suk wasn't invited to that party of that establishment. You could see Bruce Banman wasn't invited. You could see Rianne Gasper wasn't invited. You could see all the other councillors that are running that were invited and weren't there. We're going to put Abbotsford back together and we're going to do it so it stops the bickering and fighting, but we're going to bring the RCMP in first. And that's what we're going to do. So they're trying to load this Amric Moran as fast as they can, get him up. You can see him, Big Mikey. These old geezers are washed up. Let me tell you how they're washed up. Henry Brown, John Van Dongen, Mike DeYoung, and all of them went in behind Mike DeYoung to get him elected. And George Perry couldn't do it. Couldn't do it over Abbotsford residents. They couldn't do it. They went behind Dave Sadu and Marcus Dalvis for the BC United, and they couldn't get him elected. They went behind Pamela Alexis, and they couldn't get him elected. Abbotsford residents, after the information came from Darren Braun, stepped in and outvoted him. So now they need to cheat. They need to tell Amric Moran, you'll get the answers from Archway or from the Chamber of Commerce. You'll have Vicky Hopes prop you up. You'll have the preacher newspaper, Dave Sidhu will block the elections. We'll have Gabriel Rinn. You'll have your development signs on Ron Funk and this. They need him in to protect the stuff that they've been stealing out of Abbotsford. And they're going to load him, and they figure Abbotsford, you can breathe a little softer. Amick Moran's a 25-year lawyer. Let's look at Amick Moran's history very quickly. Dave Sidhu's property would tell you he needs to be speaking about it on the insider trading, and he ain't doing it because he might need Dave with the newspaper. Joe's on Short Roads Cannery. Ron Funk's illegal changing of the zoning, the Mackenzie Bog, and then there's Archway that he works with, and Patricia Drees in there. And they're going to load him. And they're going to try to get him in so they can steal and embezzle Abbotsford taxpayers' money, and your taxes increase. So I'm going to tell Nicole Reid I'm out here on location today. It's going to get a lot heavier, a lot harder, operating in my city, doing business, stealing my economic drivers. As your mayor, I will go in, and I would believe, in my opinion, you had to be rewarded very handsomely to go into another municipality and lobby them drivers out, and you had to be working with the establishment within Abbotsford to do it. But these people are going to be let go, and they're going to be let go very, very, very fast and very quickly. This is what really, when I was talking to Darren Braun, Henry's son, was really driving Darren Braun and eating him alive, that this garbage would take place. So wouldn't it be fitting that we look now and we ask David Eby, now David Eby, you know, we lost the money in Barrowtown and everything. Ain't it fitting that Chilliwack builds a 9-story city hall and we go bigger and everything because Chilliwack's running Abbotsford? It's not Abbotsford running Abbotsford, Chilliwack's running. And Chilliwack's employees are there, Chilliwack's people that are there, and we need to make sure they put a stop to it. Unless you live in Abbotsford and you're working in the city of Abbotsford, you pay your fair share of taxes. You're not going to come here and be a city council, come there and do that. You're not going to be a resident of Chilliwack and be hired into the city of Abbotsford. That's not going to happen. But these guys had a dirty little secret, and when people found that out, they picked up the phone. This is Henry Brown, Abbotsford Police. We need another guy beat down and smashed. So I'm going to make it clear to Colin Watson. I want you to go in to your briefing and ask every one of your guys, how many of you live in Abbotsford and how many of you live without the city of Abbotsford? And if you're living without the city of Abbotsford, I'll give you a grace period to get them off the police force immediately, because unless you're living there, and working there on our police force, you're not going to be living in another municipality and getting be paid. As mayor, you live in the city. As city council, you live in the city and you pay your duty. And that ain't taking place in Abbotsford. I'm live. Chilliwack, British Columbia.